Hi everybody, Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty. How are you? I'm going to do a Facebook Live today. This one's going to be a little bit different. I have a coach, a real estate coach. When I say I have him, I'm probably one of 10,000 realtors that has him across the country, but he has recommended to all of us that we do what's called a hero's journey. It's kind of what all trials and tribulations have you been through, and what have you come through, and now you are where you are now. So rather than just always posting advertisements, let me help you sell your house, let me help you go find a house that you want to buy, a little bit more personable about who we are and where we came from and what we've been through. So as per his recommendation, I'm going to do what he calls a hero's journey. And I've made a few notes because I am horrible at dates. If you tell me what happened in 1995, I'd say, I don't know. It's between 1994 and 1996. I don't remember. I'm horrible with dates, so I've made a couple of notes. But so we're going to do this. It's going to be a little bit different for me for a couple of reasons, because number one, I'm an extremely positive person. I'm positive when there's not even any reason to be positive. I mean, if the Cowboys are losing by 21 points in the fourth quarter, I still think they're going to win. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So for me to talk about trials and tribulations and bad things, it's going to be a little bit different for me because I don't like to dwell on the negative. The other thing is I'm a very private person. I don't like to talk about my personal life and what's happened, but we're going to make the exception, and we're going to do this. So starting around 2008, if I have all my dates correct, and again, I'm bad with dates, but I believe that's when the Great Recession hit the world and hit America. And during the Great Recession, real estate went in the tank. Nobody was buying houses. Nobody's going to commit to a 30-year mortgage when they don't know if they're going to have a job next month. So there was nothing going on. Nobody was buying. There were no buyers. There may have been some sellers that wanted to sell because they needed to get out of their houses, but there was nobody buying houses. Great Recession. So during that time, my wife at the time decided she wanted out of our marriage. My business went basically to nothing. In the course of 18 months, I lost my marriage, my kids, my house, and my business. Went from seeing my kids every night to seeing my kids every other weekend. That's a shock. If any of y'all have ever been through divorce and all the ramifications of what's involved in that. And on top of all this, I had two of the biggest 800-pound gorillas on my back at the same time that you can have. I had the IRS and I had the Attorney General. I had the IRS on my back because I thought that our income taxes had been paid, but lo and behold, come to find out that they didn't. And in the divorce, I got to inherit all of the back taxes. So I had the IRS on my back, and then I had the Attorney General on my back as well. As a matter of fact, it's not a funny story. I can look back on it now, but I actually wrote the IRS a check for my monthly back tax payment, and it bounced because the Attorney General had garnished my checking account without me knowing. So, two of the biggest 800-pound gorillas that you can possibly have. And I threw myself into work. I threw myself into real estate. My kids, would actually tell me that, they thought I was a workaholic. I wasn't a workaholic. It's just, to me, work was therapy. It kept my mind off of all the negative. As a matter of fact, the broker that I was with at the time, there was an agent there, and he was going through some similar kind of things. He was going through a divorce. And he took a different path. He went down the drug and alcohol path, and I went down the let's just work hard and see if we can work ourselves out of this kind of path. So I feel like I took the better of the two, but I could have gone down the other path as well and then just made a bad situation even that much more horrible. So that sums up the wonderful year of 2008. 2009, I used to go jogging a lot, and I was at White Rock Lake, and I kind of had an aha moment. I'm not going to get all religious on you, but I just stopped and I just kind of asked God, am I ever going to get past this? Am I ever going to get all this paid off? Am I ever going to get back on track? And just this feeling of calm and peace just came over me. It's hard to even explain. The feeling of calm and peace came over me, and the answer came back, yes, you're going to get through this. And so from that point on, I was then able to sleep at night, because really for the whole year of 2008, I really didn't sleep. I just tossed and turned all night, because you know what it's like when you have problems. You can't relax, you can't sleep. So that gave me just a feeling of peace, and I was actually able to start sleeping at night for a change. Are we back? Don't you love AT&T? I love AT&T. So we're back. So let's go to 2010. So my mother and my father both had bouts with colon cancer. My mother was going to go in for her second colon cancer surgery, and when she went in, they did whatever that is, an MRI, and they found a little spot on her lung. But the doctor said, first things first, let's focus on your colon cancer, and then we'll come back later and we'll take a look at what that spot is. So she had her second colon cancer, and then exactly 1 year to the day, she went back to the doctor now to have a look at what that spot on her lung was. And within that 12-month period, that spot on her lung became stage 4 lung cancer. And I remember she went to the doctor and she came home and she was talking to us. And so obviously we were all curious, and we said, okay, so what did the doctor say? And he said, I have cancer. And we said, where? And she said, everywhere. She said, he diagnosed me with stage 4 lung cancer. So I don't know anything about cancer. So I Googled it, stage 4 lung cancer. I Googled it, and it says that when you're diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, your life expectancy is about 6 months. But that's taking into consideration teenagers all the way up to elderly people. Well, she was 75 at the time. So if teenagers are diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and they get 6 months, someone that's in their mid-70s doesn't get 6 months. I know she didn't have 6 months. I didn't tell her that, but I knew she didn't have 6 months. I figured maybe around 3. And, sometimes you just have to do what's needed of you. She needed help. It fell on me and my sister to be her primary caregivers. My other siblings lived in Dallas, and they weren't around. So with me being in real estate and having a flexible schedule, I would take care of her during the day, and then when my sister got home, she would take care of her at the night, and I could go show houses at that time. But she needed round the clock help. Then it got to the point where it was beyond mine and my sister's capabilities to take care of her at that point. We would put her to bed at night, and we would wake up the next morning and come get her, and she would be wrapped up in her sheets at the bottom of the bed. And so we asked some of the nurses, what's going on with that? And the nurses said, well, she's trying to communicate to you. She's in so much pain that she's tossing and turning all night, and that's why she's wrapped up in her sheets at the bottom of the bed. And really, it was like watching a flower wilt. I mean, she was always a very independent person, drive herself to the grocery store, drive herself to get her hair done and all that, but it was just a downward spiral. It was just almost on a daily basis. What she could do yesterday, she can't do. So she could talk yesterday, but now she can't. She could do complete sentences, but now she can't. She could feed herself, but now she can't. She could dress herself, but now she can't. She used to be able to walk up the stairs, but now she can't. It was just a downward spiral. And once we got, what do they call them, guardian angels, once we got them involved, and we were telling her she's wrapped up in their sheets in the mornings, they were saying that's because she's in so much pain that she needs to now get on morphine. So once they put her on morphine, it was over. I mean, she was alive, but she was a vegetable. I mean, she couldn't communicate. Before that, she could actually acknowledge when somebody walked into the room, but once they put her on morphine, She was there physically, but not mentally. And it was just a continuous downward spiral. You know, Mother Nature, when you're born, Mother Nature gets your body ready to be born. And you may not know this, but when you're dying, Mother Nature gets your body prepared to die. And just a lot of different telltale signs of the body. The nurse would say, do you see how the blood's coagulating in her ankles and this and that and that? You know, it's her body is beginning the process of shutting down, one step at a time. I never knew that. But we literally watched her die. If you've never seen anyone die before, that's a life-changing event. We were all there watching her take her last breath. So, rather how you react during bad times. I'm a better person for having come through all this. I'm a better everything for having come through all this. I'm not going to say I'm happy that any of this happened, but it was all life-changing. It'll change you. It'll definitely change you. And now, couldn't be happier. Remarried. Donna is the love of my life. Absolutely wonderful, beautiful person on the inside and out. We have a gorgeous house. We're building our retirement, getting ready to retire, believe it or not. But everything has come out, and it's come out because I think I stayed positive and I worked hard and I just worked through all of the adversity. The last thing is, my real estate coach has said, give some advice to new realtors. And I've been doing this for 30 years, and yes, I got started when I was 12. But here's some advice. He has asked, give some advice to new realtors. Here's my advice. Number one, don't chase the commission. Don't focus on the commission. Focus on your customers' needs. If you chase the commission, if you're focused only on the commission, it's kind of like a cat chasing its tail. You'll never catch it. You'll always be chasing and looking for that next commission. But if you focus on your customer needs, the money will come to you. You'll never have financial problems again, unless you go through what I went through in 2008. But focus on your customer needs. Don't focus on the commission. That would be number one. Number two, when I got into real estate, I was going to be the super duper realtor, and I was going to let my clients have access to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If whatever they needed, whenever, I'm available, pick up the phone and call me. Big mistake. Because people will use and abuse that. I read somewhere that a realtor should treat your business like a doctor treats his medical practice. And allowing your clients to call you at any time, day or night. Now, if there's a problem, if there's an emergency, if there's an issue, if you're up against a timeline, you're up against a deadline, then absolutely, all bets are off, and you make yourself accessible and you take care of that problem. But with no problems, there's no issues, allowing your clients to drink a half a bottle of wine and call you at 11 o'clock at night, or have a six-pack of beer and call you at 11 o'clock at night, and they open up the conversation kind of talking about real estate, and then the conversation goes downhill from there and it becomes very inappropriate, has nothing to do with the business. Don't do that to yourself. Don't allow that. Again, be there for your clients if there's a problem. We're back. We're back. All right, we're back. Okay, so anyway, finalizing this, advice to new realtors is don't follow the commission, focus on your customers' needs. Don't give 24-hour access, because that's a formula for disaster. And the last thing is, new realtors, in addition to being a realtor, you're going to need to wear some other hats too. You're going to need to be a psychiatrist, because there's a lot of people out there that have mental needs. You're going to need to be a psychiatrist. You're going to need to be a crisis manager, and you're going to need to be a marriage counselor too. And when I tell other realtors that, they all laugh. Any realtors that have been in the business for a while, they know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you get a contract and now we have to navigate all the landmines to get to closing. Well, while you're navigating those landmines, you've got marriage issues and crisis issues, and the buyer and or the seller are freaking out, and you've got to calm them down and talk them off the ledge. I mean, you've got to be a psychiatrist and a crisis manager and a marriage counselor. It's kind of funny, but kind of not funny, but it's actually, it's really true. So anyway, there you go. There's my coach's hero's journey. And again, I've been in real estate for 30 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I grew up here. Anything I can do to be of help, if you want to go help buying a house, if you need help selling your house, anything I can do to be of help, Google me. I have a 98% approval rating on Google. More than happy to help. Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty, 214-64